Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Everyone, welcome. The topic for today's talk is permanent values to the human self. If you remember, we had permanent values 1, and the talk where we covered the general background. And today we will cover the human self. And for this talk, these are the references where we can have a look on human self. What is Islam, the human self, and Allah, the human self, and Iblis by Allama Pervez. Now, the outline of the presentation, introduction, the human self as a permanent value, 2 aspects of the human existence, human eye and brain, some verses to reflect, human default status noted by the Quran, some verses, and then conclusions. Introduction. We are trying to unravel the mysteries of our own inner self, i.e., our eye is making an effort to know its own reality. Everything about our eye in order to make sense of our existence and its meaning, and the meaning of it all in every respect. So essentially, study of the Quran is the study of our own eye or our self, because that is about which the Quran is. It has been sent as guidance. In part 1, we looked at some aspects of values prevailing in the human world and how these influence our decision making. Our choices are affected by the way we think, and this is influenced by our value systems, both individual as well as collective. So we should keep in mind that as an individual, we are part of a collective system. There are 2 aspects of the existence of the human self called nafs. Firstly, as an entity possessing choice and intent. This is a fact which all human beings acknowledge, and the human creation around us is based on the use of these 2 attributes. Secondly, whether this self can exist beyond our physical death. And this is where we need to look at its value as an entity. With this, I'll go over to some interesting quotes. If you remember, I sent a clip from Academy of Ideas, and I thought I'll share this one with you. Psychological normality is the set of typical and socially approved characteristics of affective, cognitive, and behavioral functioning. A set of characteristics derived from the reference group consisting of the majority in a society's population. Affective over here means the emotive build-up of human beings. And this is from Stephen James Bartlett. And second one is the real hopeless victims of mental illnesses are to be found among those who appear to be most normal. They are normal only in relation to a profoundly abnormal society. Their perfect adjustment to that normal society is a measure of their mental sickness. These millions of abnormally normal people living without fuss in a society to which, if they were fully human beings, they ought not to be adjusted. So there are 2 human beings. This is from Aldous Huxley, which he said it in his book, Brave New World, Revisited. And over here, if you see that both writers have independently come to the same conclusion that normality is not to follow the abnormal majority or the way word is created. We need to think hard and question the word which is around us. And that is where the Quran also draws our attention that the world in which we are living, we need to question it. Now, I put some thoughts together that human self and the physical body. First, this is a quote from Allama Pervez's book. The human self is the highest permanent value. The remainder of the values become the means for its development. And when strength is developed in it, then these values keep sprouting and rising automatically from it like the rays of the sun. And then he goes on to say, it should be made clear that this does not mean that the human body has no worth or value. According to the Quran, human bodies, i.e. human physical life and its means of sustenance, have their own values which need to be protected. But these values are relative, not permanent. And then when there is a clash between the interests of physical life and the human self, then for the protection of the interests of the human self, physical life as interest should be sacrificed. And this is from What is Islam? Two aspects of human life. First is, this aspect is the life as a human being where the recognition of the presence of a human self becomes apparent. And we seek guidance to answer all the questions arising in human mind. This is the level of existence where we need the permanent values of the Quran as an external criteria to live as human beings. The Quran deals with this aspect in detail and provides complete guidance for the development of this aspect. And second aspect is, which is more focused towards the physical body. The physical body and its needs define human existence, and here we live a life according to the physical laws. We are what we eat is one side of it. The other aspect is that the purpose of human creation is to fulfill own desires. And when we die, there is nothing within us which can survive our physical death. Brain dies, hence we die. The world around us in 2021 is based on this assumption. I thought I'll put down this date that maybe in 10, 15 years time, if there is a system of deen in the world, then people will refer back to the word in the past. This is a bit optimistic action on my part. Human eye and the brain. Now, I thought that in the light of what I have read in psychology and also through my own analysis of my own self, I would like to share some of these points. Our eye is ageless, and we never feel old, while our body does start feeling old as it ages. Self-consciousness and our memory are two traits of the human self, or nafs. Now, this is important. I remember one of our members from New Zealand came here, and he was elder to me, and he said that I always thought when people become old, their thoughts also become old. And now he said that my thoughts are as young as these used to be. And we all know it. Our brain through mind produces ideas, thoughts, feelings, emotions, sentiments, desires, and gives us intellect. Our eye becomes aware of these and then decides how to proceed further. It is through our mind that our eye manifests itself. Now, this is an important point, that eye manifests itself through our brain or through our mind. And that is why Quran says that when we go to sleep, our eye is suspended. Without any external standards of values, we follow our desires, as this is the only standard available to us to follow. Our intellect helps us to fulfill these desires. So over here, we should keep in mind that we are trying to segregate or separate our eye and consciousness from our brain's activity. When we come to the guidance of the Quran and accept Iman, the sphere of our consciousness starts increasing and we start becoming more aware of inner self as well as of the world in which we live. Remember those two quotes from Academy of Ideas, that we have to not think like the abnormal majority, but new normal should be that we should question our existence as well as what is going on around us. And the Quran over here awakens our inner consciousness. So the Quran helps us to know our own value, which when we appreciate, we do solid deeds to increase its value. This value has no upper limit. So this is the crux of what we are discussing today. So from our basic value as a human being possessing self and intent, we can either increase its value or we can decrease it depending upon what we do to our own eye. So I is an entity with me. So I am aware of my own I. And the value of this I which I have can go up as well as down. The control of our I lies within us. However, the world around us does leave an impact on it. From the state of our own I, we can understand other human beings possessing the same I. And Quran helps us to unravel this relationship with further details. There's a lot of reiteration of I in this slide. Whatever our I becomes at the time of our physical death, this I moves forward and our body along with our brain remains behind. So body and brain both has tools of I. These die and I moves forward. And these points will become very clear as we will go through subsequent permanent values. Of the existence of this I within us is part of this process of the creation of a new life within us. Using the Quranic criteria, we can find out the state of development of our I. We will cover these aspects in more talks. Now, I've drawn a schematic here just to illustrate what is given in the previous slide. I and consciousness is the product of the brain. Intellect follows desires and emotions, conform to the majority. No external criteria to evaluate own self, no higher aim of life. Live life as if it ends with death. Now, this is the position of our modern psychology, that I and consciousness is the product of the brain, that it is part of the mind which comes out of the brain. And they are struggling to find out because they are not very sure which is the part of the brain which gives us I and consciousness. And if we look at this concept, we see that if life ends with death, then whoever thinks that I and consciousness is part of the brain, then it should end with the physical death. Now, the Quranic guidance tells us something different. I and consciousness is different and segregated from this process. And it is through permanent values it can develop. And if I and consciousness knows permanent values, then it is becoming aware of the values of the world and the environment in which I lives. Whatever brain through mind, that is intellect, desires, emotions, etc., creates, I keeps analyzing it continuously and then acts within the domain of the permanent values. So this is something interesting in my view, and we can discuss it in question answer session, that I and consciousness is there. It has learned all the permanent values. It knows all the significance of these permanent values. And then becoming aware of it, it uses its brain, and it is aware of brain activity as well, that what desires, emotions, its intellect is throwing at this I. And then I is analyzing it and acting according to these permanent values. So this is a kind of triangle which should form in our head. Now, we will look at some of the verses here now. The first verse is, we all have read it many times and referred as well. وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ وَحَمَلْنَاهُمْ فِي الْبَرِّ وَالْبَحْرِ وَرَزَقْنَاهُم مِّنَ الطَّيِّبَاتِ وَفَضَّلْنَاهُمْ عَلَىٰ كَثِيرٍ مِّمَّنْ خَلَقْنَا تَفْضِيلًا. That the Quran says that surely we have blessed or honored the children of Adam. So there is a value here, which is a permanent value, that each child of a human child is intrinsically have his own respect and dignity with which he or she is born. Next is Amaldam fil barre wal bahre. So this is the whole word here. Warazaknahum min al tayyibati. Rizq means everything, all means of sustenance, which includes even human knowledge and education and training, everything. Min al tayyibati, which should produce good results. Wafadalnahum ala kasiran mimman khalaqna tafdila. And over here, Quran states that in its physical existence, right in this world, by virtue of choice and intent, he has been made superior, made higher than the rest of the creation around it. Next is, in the same continuity, after leaving one verse, the Quran says, وَمَنْ كَانَ فِي هَذِهِ أَعْمَى فَهُوَ فِي الْآخِرَةِ أَعْمَى وَأَضَلُّ سَبِيلًا. Whoever does not recognize these things is blind, because he does not take benefit of it. And as he does not take benefit of it, then obviously in the hereafter, right in this life as well, he lives a life of a blind person. وَضَلُّ سَبِيلًا, and he is astray from the path which he was meant to follow. So there is a lot of intellect involved here. And then Quran says, وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ مَا هُوَ شِفَاءٌ وَرَحْمَةٌ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَلَا يَزِيدُ الظَّالِمِينَ إِلَّا خَسَارًا. The Quran has been sent as shifa and rahmat for mu'mineen. See, it's for mu'mineen, for those who become guided, then create a self and then follow this path. Or those who do not, zalimin, the unjust. So one has to get out of that state of injustice in which one finds himself or herself. Otherwise, it keeps increasing. That with time, people who do injustice, they become worst. Wala yazidu zalimina illa khasara, and as a result, they suffer. And they also, obviously, the word in which live, and if they are in majority, they will make others suffer. Kul kullun yamalu ala shakilatihi farabbukum alamu biman huwa ahdan sabila. Over here, Quran very clearly says, the choice is clearly mentioned here, that whatever deed they do for their own goal, aim, whatever desires they have, whether if those desires are within the Quran, then obviously, and within the permanent values, they will have a different life. And Allah knows means over here that we can use the Quran to find out how well we are following the righteous path, the Quran's path, or Sirat-e-Mustaqim. And then there are verses, La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wusaha laha ma kasabat wa alayha ma kasabat. I included this verse because I thought that this verse gives a very important aspect of the expanse of human self, that human self can expand. La yukallifullahu. This is not a great translation here, but I thought I'll let it go, but I'll explain it. La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wusaha. That nafs expands, that, and whatever nafs does in this life after accepting Quran's guidance, then its wusat will keep increasing. Its expanse will keep increasing. Its consciousness will keep increasing. And we have ourselves seen that through these all presentation talks which we have shared, and through the question answers, our understanding has increased. Laha ma kasabat. So if it is following the right path and it does good, salih deeds, then obviously it will benefit. Walaiha maktasabat, and it will suffer in case it follows the wrong side of a wrong path. Then is a man yaksib itman fa innama yaksibuhu ala nafsihi wa kana Allahu aliman hakima. So over here, that if anyone earns itham means something which slows us down. Fa innama yaksibuhu ala nafsihi, and this is against his own nafs, his own self. Wa kana Allahu aliman hakima. Two values have come here for us, that we should also be alim and we should also be hakim. So through this Quran's teaching or learning, we are becoming knowledgeable and we can use it wisely. Balil insanu ala nafsihi basiratun. This is where Quran is stating another fact, that man is an evidence against his own self. See, ala nafsihi balil insanu ala nafsihi basiratun. That man is an evidence against his own self. Now, this verse sums up everything which is noted above. Alimat nafsum ma qaddamat wa akharat. Then man will know that what he sent forward and what he left behind. That is, everything is accountable. We cannot escape the consequences of following the path in our life. Now, nafs needs guidance. Now, we all know it, but I thought some of these verses, I found them interesting, and I thought we'll share it again. وَذَرِ الَّذِينَ اتَّخَذُوا دِينَهُمْ لَعِبًا وَلَهْوًا وَغَرَّتْهُمُ الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا وَذَكِّرْ بِهِ أَن تُبْصَلَ نَفْسٌ بِمَا كَسَبَتْ. I've only quoted the first part of it. That leave those alone. Now, this is very interesting, that we will come to this conclusion. We come to this conclusion after following the path, after a bit of a time and distance, that human beings follow their desires. And those who follow their desires, they are not going to come to the Quran. And that is why we find people rejecting the message or moving away, or instead accusing us that why do you follow the pure Quran? Because they think that life is lab and lahaf. So Quran clearly explains it, that people want just the benefits of this life. And then it says, Garratuhumul hayatu dunya. They are lost totally into this life. They are not fully aware that of the purpose of their existence. And that is very important, that if we observe life, and even we can observe our own life before we came to the Quran, that there is a very low level of consciousness which we possessed. وَذَكِّرْ بِهِ. Over here, Quran says that let them know that Allah's laws don't change. And if they do not follow the path which is put forward by the Quran, then they are essentially ruining themselves, because this life is a one-way street. They are never going to come back to this life. Next verse is Kul in zalaltu fa innama adillu ala nafsi. That over here, Rasulullah, from his tongue, from his lips, it is being stated that if I go astray, if I don't follow the Quran, then this will be my own loss. It will not be the loss of somebody else. It will be my own loss. And if I follow what is being revealed to me, neta datu fabima yuhi. So ila rabbi, then whatever ilayya rabbi, then whatever is coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, if I follow that, then that is the guidance. So if I follow my own desires, then I will not be on the Sirat al-Mustaqim. But if I follow what is being revealed to me, I am then on the Sirat al-Mustaqim. Innahu Samiyyun Qareeb, or Allah is listening as well as He is close by. La yasma'una hasisaha wa hum fi mashtahat anfusuhum khalidun. That this is the state of hell, or the word which we see around over here says that Quran says that they will not hear the slightest of sound in hell. And we can see over here in the media, there's a 24/7 media, and there is everything we can hear. And wahum fiya mashtahat anfusuhum khalidun, and they will get whatever they desire. So desire is very important, but our desires should be those which are filtered through the permanent values. Brain will still, we should keep it in mind that, as I said earlier, that brain throws us all kinds of desires. Now, through permanent values, I, that is myself, has to filter it and only let those desires go forward which are according to the permanent values. So we are essentially getting practice as well in this life to take forward those desires for the hereafter which are in accordance with the Quran, and leave behind those desires which don't meet that criteria. Now, is human self a permanent value? Now, this is very interesting. With visible universe created for it, not other way around. So this universe which we are seeing around is for us. That is, it is created for the human nafs. Nafs is divine energy, provides choice and intent. So divine energy is indestructible. In fact, all energy, they say, is indestructible. Within it lies the secret of his own creation and its purpose. Hence, he is the most important value in the visible universe. So this is something which we should keep it in mind. The Quran and all its permanent values are for this nafs, its known and not yet known potentials of their manifestation to this single important, to his single important and unique choice. So whatever choice we make, that is the world we create around us. And of course, that word is created within us as well. Which path he wishes to take in this life. Since this nafs has to help create a new world here and then go on to further create in the life of the next world, hence its consciousness is boundless, only limited by its own self-imposed limitations. We mentioned this point in a few of our previous presentations as well, that we should try not to self-impose any limitations on us and explore as much as possible before we leave this life, though he needs education and training for this. Though Allah is present everywhere in the universe or universes, only man with his nafs needs to become aware of his presence in order to become worthy of his companionship in his creation. An everlasting companionship. This is important, that as we learn the Quran and delve deeper into the permanent values, we become more and more aware of the presence of Allah. The Quran and its permanent values become non-consequential if mu'mineen do not emerge through their own choice. Just imagine if there is no mu'min on this planet and Quran exists, then these permanent values exist, but they are not applied by anyone. So they are of no consequence. It is they who carry out the responsibilities which Allah has as Rahim, Rahman, Aziz, Hakim, Alim, Basir, Rauf, Halim, Kareem, Mu'min. So over here, when I say permanent values, these are those permanent values which are for Mu'mineen to act on. Otherwise, permanent values have their own significance. For example, or laws of nature or immutable. Next is it becomes a permanent value. That is, human self becomes a permanent value when it acquires iman and then raises its eminence through salih deeds. So we add value to our I when our I acquires iman and then does salih deeds and develops and crosses the minimum threshold which the Quran has defined for us and starts using these permanent values. Because this is how it acquires a permanent status in the creation of Allah. It acquires that immortality which is needed to continue the creation process in the supreme scheme of Allah. Now, what is the human default state as noted by the Quran? I have included here some points which I thought will help develop subsequent discussion on various permanent values. Because when we go through the Quran and we see some of these default states of man, we think that the significance of these we sometimes do not understand completely. The world around us is because of this default attributes of man. Man-made world without the guidance of Wahi will be full of conflicts, bloodshed, fear, huzn, party, sex, classes, prejudices, jealousies, competitive and material pursuits, greed for accumulation, discrimination at all levels, racism, nationalism, injustice, propaganda, wars, exploitation, slavery of all kinds, economic stratification, bribery, assumption that life ends with death, i.e., no concept of a self as explained in the Quran. So I've tried to put down as many as possible in our present world. Despite knowing that the cause and effect functions in the physical and non-physical world, complete ignorance is displayed in daily living, especially at collective level. Even at an individual level, human beings without the Quranic guidance vaguely know that their deeds have consequences, but not fully conscious of it. They know generally, some idea that I can, reap what I have sown, but they are not fully convinced. So there is a need for a warning as a permanent value. Only those who come to the Quran as noted within it can change the world to a better world, the map of which is detailed in the Quran. This needs Allah's direct help, and this help is only available by following the procedure given in the Quran. Now let us look at some aspects about human being, the basic human being, which are noted in the Quran. The first is man was created weak. I have given these references to various verses, and some of these verses are indirectly related to this attribute. That is, for example, if Quran says that man will create fear and grief, then this will be mentioned that if guidance comes, then fear and grief will disappear. Similarly, some of these are in relation to Iblis and Adam, because Iblis and Adam are also human beings, and these are the attributes of humans. Man is a creature of haste, because man has to die, so he wants quick results. For man is given to hasty deeds. That is, he wants to do things very quickly. And he establishes a system as well through which he wants quick results. For man is niggardly. That is, he's got tremendous love for wealth and possessions. So he's greedy. Truly, man was created very impatient. So over here, Quran has said that he is created impatient, so that one has to overcome it. That is where Sabirin comes in. But man is in most things contentious. We can see it all around us, that all the conflicts and inward fighting and the chaos and conflicts which goes on in the world. He was indeed Zalim and Jahil. Zalim means unjust, and Jahil is ignorant of his own significance. Then his man has no fitrat, he has choice, both paths of life shown to him. So there is no fitrat. Some people think there is a fitrat and human beings have an inner guidance. Man has no fitrat, he has choice, both paths of life shown to him. So we should not, and similarly, man does not have a conscience. Conscience is internalized society. Whichever society we live, our conscience becomes according to the values of that society. Man is competitive in material things. We remember the verse, Al-Hakumut Takasur, Hatta Zurtumul Mukabir. Man considers his life in this world to be play and amusement. Man finds attractions in riches, children, spouses. So these things are kept within us. So we need to understand these understand their significance, and then use them according to the permanent values. Human deeds become alluring in their own eye. This is very interesting, that human deeds are to be assessed in the light of the Quranic criteria. Even some of those who acquire Iman prefer their fathers, sons, kindred, the wealth they have gained, the business they have established, and their dwellings over the cause of Allah. So this is interesting, that even we who claim that we have come to the Quran and acquired Iman, we also need a lot of training, lot of education, and lot of soul searching in terms of developing ourselves in the light of the Quran. It's not an easy path to go against the system around us and against our own desires. And there will be family pressures, there will be pressures from friends, environment, job, but we have to stick to the path on which we have decided to go. Man shuts down his heart, mind, hearing, eyes from listening to the truth. And this is important, because if he shuts it down, nobody can open it. That is why I cannot convince anyone. The only person I can convince is my own self. Men do display hypocrisy, i.e. contradiction between what they say and what they hide. So this is the default position, one can say. And that is why we see it all around in the world, particularly in the modern politics, in media. They think it is Allah who provides sustenance directly in this human world to mankind. So in Surah Yasin, it is stated, when they are asked to provide sustenance to fellow human beings, they say, why Allah doesn't provide it directly? And we hear these things. This whole concept of Qismat is based on this. They do not like Wahi. They see it as impeding their desires. That is why they don't like pure Quran, because pure Quran goes against their own desires. If man follows wrong path for a long time, then his heart can become hardened. This is very important to understand, that human psychology is that eye and consciousness, when it follows human brain or mind, then it finds it extremely difficult to get out of that mold. And gradually, the brain develops a certain pattern, and their hearts become hardened. Prefers this life over the life of the hereafter. So they don't want to even if they get some kind of indication, what if there is a hereafter, they prefer not to consider it. Man indulges in the past frequently and talks about others, forgets his own conduct. Endless discussions take place within their family environment, in the job, nationally, internationally, what others are doing. Man does not like accountability. He hates actually accountability. A party of them create fear as well. Then is some more, man gives less to others and wants more for himself. He does not appreciate other human beings as a human. This is very important. That is why we hold back. We do not consider other human beings equal to us. And the premise of Deen system, the whole Deen system is predicated on this value, that all human beings are equal and everyone has got exactly the same I, exactly the same as I have one. Man likes indulging in vain talk, joins others as well. Tells others to do better and forgets himself. He hides haq and mixes haq with batil. وَتَلْبِسُ الْحَقَّ بِالْبَاطِلِ وَتَكْتُمُ الْحَقَّ. This is the state we find ourselves in this world. In fact, the world which is created on non-Quranic values will always be like that. In position of power, he divides human beings into parties, and we like parties, and we then stand in a row to vote for parties. So we have to look very hard within ourselves, that the first test comes of our Iman in the Quran, and we stand in the row to vote for a party, which have been forbidden by Allah. He creates fear when he gets chance to serve his own ends. He wishes others to be like him, conformity. Remember those two quotes, that an abnormal world, the other human beings also conform with that. He is fearful of death and wishes a very long physical life, fearful of the consequences of his deeds in this world. He wants to be praised for something which he has not done. This is going on all around us. He misguides others deliberately. He asks questions to divert from haqq. This is another one. They ask questions that, just like Jews, that what will be the color of that heifer, what it looks like, what will be the age, and similar issues. The Quran has very clearly stated in 101 in Surah Ma'idah that whatever was supposed to be revealed has been revealed. He forgets what he has sent forward for his tomorrow. He accuses others quickly for his own follies, does not take responsibility readily. He gives up quickly, starts creating divisions. He becomes hopeless when faced with trials and tribulations of life. This is the manifestation of Iblis. He's impulsive and emotive. He's greedy and accumulates. This has been already mentioned. Accumulation is not mentioned there. He plots against fellow human beings to gain benefits. He creates poor and weak to rule them and exploit them. He ignores warnings deliberately. He does not accept the law of requital. He does not accept the existence of his own self and thinks life ends with death. That is, he thinks that there is nothing within him which can move on to the next life. There is nothing within him which survives his death, though he knows he exists and has intellect, desires, emotions, and choice. Interesting thing is, in his own word, he records everything. There is a digital footprint through this internet everywhere, through phones. Whatever we are doing is being recorded. He creates doubts and suspicions. These are some of the default attributes of the character of an undeveloped human self, nafs, noted in the Quran. Human beings have a very complex psychological makeup, and more of these will appear before us as we delve deep into the process of the human self's development. From these, we have realized, and we already know it, that just to recap, that human beings are complex creation, but Quran makes it a very simplified its path. Now, some verses over here in Inna sharra dawabi in the lahi summul bukmun lazina la yaqilun. And it says that the worst of those are creation who have been given intelligence and reasoning power and everything, but they become deaf and dumb. And because they do not use akal. And akal means that other day I listened to an interview where very good, I thought was a very good meaning given to it, that akal is to join up dots. That is, whatever is around us, we should try to make some sense out of it. Walau alimallahu fihim khairan la asmahum. Walau asmahum la tawallu wahum muridun. That if Allah had found in them any good khair here, he would have indeed made them listen, which means they would have listened. If they had something good in them and they wanted to do some good, and if they were alive to the non-Quranic word around them, they would have said, this is haqq. And even if here says, if he had made them listen, that such people who shut their minds, even if they are made to listen, they are not going to listen and they are going to move away and decline it. So this is the state we find around ourselves. So we should not get frustrated. Over here, Quran has very clearly stated that even Allah, if he had told them and given them, of course, choice and freedom, then they wouldn't have listened because they don't want to. Then Quran says, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu istajibu lillahi wal rasuli iza da'akum lima yuhyikum. That, see, even mu'mineen are directed over here, because mu'mineen at an initial stages, they are not very sure. They take time to develop their self. And they're told that to what Allah and his messenger are calling you, and that will give you life, and give your response to that. Wa'alamu annallaha, and remember, always keep it in mind that he is present everywhere, and he comes, Yahulu bainal mare, he comes between the man and kalbihi and his heart. And remember, wa'annahu alayhi tosharun, all of you are going to be gathered together. So this life is going to go on to the next one. Of course, over here as well, we face the consequences of what we do. Now, coming to the end, conclusions. By virtue of possessing a self, i.e. nafs, with the attributes of choice and intent, it has a value. At fundamental level, all children of Adam are entitled to respect and dignity. Since human self is a value, hence it can neither it can either increase its worth or reduce its worth based on how it conducts itself in this life. If it lives at the level defined by the Quran, then it becomes a permanent value, and by following the Quranic value system, it can achieve a higher level of eminence and can help establish the system of deen in this life. So in terms of, we should keep it in mind that all those default positions which we have gone through together, we have to overcome them. First understand them, then overcome them, and then follow the Quran. If human self does not take into account the possibility of the life of the hereafter and merely exists to meet the needs of the physical body, then his self does not develop to meet the requirements of the life of the hereafter. The permanent values of the Quran as a whole are required to bring the latent potentials and the best out of these potentials of the human nafs. And thanks for listening to this presentation. And now we go to our discussion part.